This is how to have a kick-ass elevator pitch, part one, the value proposition. And my name is Luc Bouchard. My company is Bare Bones Communications, and I actually what I have is a video production company, and I'm also an executive coach. And during this times of 19, as I refer to it, COVID-19 or just 19, I'm falling back on using different skills. So I'm going back to my executive coaching, but I do have this video production company, and a lot of the skills I'm going to be bringing today and a lot of things we're going to be talking about is things I need to use in my video production company. I consider myself to be a message crafter besides a brevity specialist, and basically what I do is I help my clients get very clear on their message so that not only is it short and succinct, but it also their call to action is being followed. So it's all about having a succinct message. Now, today, there are two parts to developing your elevator pitch presentation. Today, what we're seeing is the value proposition. And we're going to look at the importance of knowing what your value proposition is in your elevator pitch. Tomorrow, we're going to have navigating the elevator pitch, and we're going to be taking what we learned today and applying it tomorrow. The benefits of taking these two presentations, or actually, quite frankly, all my presentations, is that when we get out of isolation, we're going to need to be able to, a lot of us are going to need to hit the ground running, and we're just going to need to basically be out there networking and talking to people and, you know, building clienteles, or continue to improve the relationships we have. And, you know, so my desire is to help you guys transition so that when we do finish this time of isolating, some of you may already be, that you're ready to go out there and you haven't lost a lot of those skills. So my main intent today is to offer you a perspective on the importance of well thought out value proposition. And I'm going to start by actually talking about the one takeaway that I would like you to have on this today. And the main takeaway is, when it comes to having a kick-ass elevator pitch, is that you're not only prospecting to the person in front of you. I want you to think about the fact that whoever you're talking to, they may be able to actually make a referral to you. So we're not always selling to the people or trying to engage the people that are in front of us. They know a whole bunch of people. And it is you know, I've heard this term that every person knows up to 250 people that they could possibly refer to. So if you have a particular service, someone that you actually pitch to or talk to might not need your service, but it's likely they'll know someone. And if someone has a conversation with you, let's say you engage with somebody in a 5-minute conversation, and they can't remember what you do or what your specialty is, then you've lost that opportunity to pitch to everyone else. You've lost that opportunity for them to be your advocate, for them to basically say, hey, I know someone that does that. Oh, I just met someone that actually could help you with that. But the problem is with a lot of people's elevator pitches is that they're not actually memorable enough because it doesn't have that impact. And tomorrow, I'm really excited to be sharing with you the some really simple ways of engagement. So hopefully you'll be able to make tomorrow's presentation also. Okay. Now, one of my housekeeping things is we will be done on time, and we will be finished at 90 minutes into that. And I know people are busy; they've got stuff to do. If you need to go. That's fine. But if you do want the recording, you can email me, and I'll send it out to you after I edit and do some work to it. A little information about me. Who's this guy talking to you? Well, I have been shooting video content for over 7 years, and I took on a challenge 7 years ago to actually get climatized to being on camera, and I did a 72-day challenge, and where I uploaded new content to YouTube every day for 72 days. The main intent of it was to actually get used to being on camera and to develop that muscle memory. And on day 32 of the 72-day challenge, I shot this video, and to this day, I get constant traction on it. I like somewhere between 17 and 19 people a hit, and now I'm at 44,000 views. And you can see it was shot, you know, back in 2013, almost coming up to exactly a year, you know, in a couple of months and whatnot. And this is what convinced me the power of video. This video has got me clients from Geneva, Spain, Portugal, Texas, New Jersey. and they watch the video and people contact me on that. So I believe in videos, and it's something that I've seen. I get a lot of traction. It was work for me. Regarding why you guys are here, well, I've done this presentation on multiple occasions, and I've done it live for a couple of years, and since we've all had to pivot, now I'm having to look at finding different ways of doing it, but I've done it quite a bit, and I've refined it as I go along. I also had the opportunity to present with our National Police Service, the RCMP, because as some of you have noticed, I have an accent, and I am from Canada. I'm actually from Edmonton, Alberta. We're the furthest north city of 1 million people, largest population. So yeah, and I think in the United States there's 10 or 11 cities that are bigger than Edmonton, where I'm from and whatnot. So I had the opportunity to do this presentation, and it was on stakeholder buy-in. And tomorrow I'm going to be using some of this presentation in tomorrow's webinar. I also have a course on Udemy, and I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with me, but Udemy is an online marketplace where you can put content on that. And this is my course, Producing High Performance Video Content. And this is my back end. I get an average rating of 3.85, and I have over 10,000 views on that. So that's somewhat I bring to the table. That's my background, and everything I talk about is really about how to leave a lasting impression and how to actually make your mark on people. And what I'm doing here today is helping you sculpt a message. And sculpting a piece of art doesn't happen overnight, and quite frankly, neither does your elevator pitch. So it's organic, it's in progress. My elevator pitch is still developing as I go along, and it's just something that we constantly need to work on. And the purpose of it is always to have people leave you to be memorable with people. Now, some of you may not know this, but I suspect a lot of you do. Why do we call it an elevator pitch? Well, it's an elevator pitch because it's the amount of time it takes to travel with someone 3 stories. They'll remember you. So when you get on an elevator with someone and you have a conversation, they should be able to remember who you are after 3 stories with them. That's why they call it the elevator pitch. And it takes time and talent, not talent, it takes time and effort to actually have a well-developed elevator pitch. Okay, today's presentation is on the value proposition. And I'm going to give you 3 definitions of value proposition. I'm not going to read it because I don't read well. And I'm going to put it up, and then I'm going to count for 10 seconds, and then I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, so here's the first definition. And the second definition by Wikipedia. And now the third one by Investopedia. I want you to think of a value proposition as simply what you bring to the table that people are going to pay for your services or your product for. It is an overarching what you bring to the table. It's if we think back to when we had more of an exchange economy, somebody would build a wagon wheel for a pig or a goat. So they're saying in some ways that a pig is worth a wagon wheel, and there's that kind of equal trade on that. And that's in essence what a value proposition is. You're saying, I will provide you this product or this service, and you will pay me this much, or sometimes it's an exchange. We're going to do that. And I think we're going to be seeing, as we continue through 19, we're going to be seeing more and more exchanges like that. And good if you can do that. I think it's actually not a bad idea. But it's basically saying, I will offer you this for this. And it doesn't matter what it is. And that's what I want you to really think about is, what do you bring to the table that's unique to your services, that's unique to you, your expertise, your experience and background. And that's the focus. What do you bring to the table? And why should people pay you for that? So my question is, what is the value, just to kind of look at that and go a bit deeper on that, what is Starbucks' value proposition? When you think about Starbucks, what really is their value proposition? Is it only their coffee? I think that'd be a bit short-sighted. Is it their location? Is it their environment? Is it the food? Is it the staff? Well, it's all these things. It's just not one thing. Starbucks is seen, as almost like a boutique coffee shop where you go in and you have the experience. And that is their value proposition. It's not only the coffee, it's definitely a big part of their beverages, not because they do, God knows they do a lot more than coffee, but it's everything on that. And that's what I want you to think about with your value proposition is what is the what we call the industry the brand promise. What is your brand promise? What is it that people are going to get from having their experience? Or another way of looking at it is, where do you take people to? Dennis Milner wrote a book called the Story Brand, and in it he asks this really great question: is where do you take people to, or what is their experience going to be once they've gone through through working with you or hiring you? Or lastly, and even more, another way of asking the question is, what do you want people to say about their experience with you or your company or your business or whatever you've done? So it's always come back to what is the end result? And in some ways, when I work with people, we start with the end result and we reverse engineer it backwards. So that is part of the thing is, what exactly is the experience? Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about the big problem. And I see this a lot. We're going to see some examples of this. I've actually been, I have been guilty of this in the past. Hopefully I'm not as guilty as much as I have been in the past. But I see so many businesses that their services, that they're in love with their product or their service. They just think it's great. And how we see that show up is with clever names that you really don't know what that means, or there's a suggestion, or there's these people's titles. I'm a brevity specialist, so I and message crafters. So some people might say I'm in love with my service and whatnot. But people all the time are in love with their services, and they think that because they have something that's clever and unique, that's going to be enough to make a sale. And the next takeaway I want to give you is this. If you think anyone's going to look up your branding because they're curious about it, it's not going to happen. We only have so much capacity throughout the day. We are hardwired to take mental shortcuts. We look at stuff and we decide if we're going to engage or we're not going to engage. It's estimated that before 19, before this whole socialization came through, that by the time an average person leaves for work, gets up and gets to work, there has been over 200 impressions made upon that person. Now, an impression is defined as any kind of advertisement or anything. So if you're listening to the radio, if you're watching TV, if you're on social media, if you are reading newspaper, billboards, signage, those are impressions. And out of those 200 impressions, maybe 2 or 3 stick. We have a lot of noise. And we have to discern all the time as to what we're going to pay attention and we're not going to pay attention to. And if our branding or our elevator pitch or anything that we use to basically position ourselves is lost on people, they're not going to look you up. It's I'm going to swear, it's shithouse rat crazy to think anyone's going to look you up. And I've talked to people where they'll say, oh yeah, I said, I don't understand what you do. And they'll say, well, our ideal client knows what we do, or our customers know what we do. And I'm going, okay, but I can't refer to you if I don't know what you do. And people will say to me, well, they can look up on the internet what we do. I'm going, they won't. So the second takeaway is people are not going to look you up, and you have to make it easy for them, and you have to be able to show them how you're able to make their lives better. We're all tuned into one radio station and one radio station only, and that is WIIFM. What's in it for me, FM. And if you think about who you actually pay attention to or who you're going to do business with, it's always going to be about some perceived need or desire that you're doing. And if you're not fulfilling those needs or those desires, then People are going to do that. Furthermore, it is not your job to figure out how I am of value to you. That's my job to figure out to you. So the people that you're actually going to want to get in front of and serve, we have to show our value to them on that. And that's pretty much what this whole presentation is about, is how do we determine that? Okay, enough with that. So a question I have for you. What are the different ways that value propositions are demonstrated? And we're going to take some look at examples, and I'm going to be asking you, what is the value proposition? We have less than a dozen people, or 8 people on the call. And I really, the more you engage, it's going to be better. So I really ask that when I ask the questions that you do participate in this and turn off your mic. So one way you can ask is, what's the value proposition? Or you can even say, or even ask yourself, how am I impacted by this? Or what kind of impression does it make upon me? That's really what a value proposition is. It's just like, what impact does it have on me? What do I think about this? And what I'm about to show you with these signs and business cards are our type of elevator pitch. I want you to think that basically they're pitching to you in this advertisement. Clearly, when you watch TV commercials, that's a pitch. They're showing some sort of value proposition. So we're going to start today with signage and such. So this is where you guys will hopefully participate, and I thank the 2 people that have actually showed their video or showing their videos on that. It really makes it easier for me. So what is the value proposition with this? Who would like to jump in there?
I hate to say it, but I don't get one.
You don't get one? Okay. Okay. How they're positioning themselves is with these 2 words, intelligent solutions. So basically, there is a bit of a suggestion that if you use them, not a big suggestion, and it's an overt suggestion, that they have intelligent solutions. And who this is going to resonate is with individuals who actually think that they're smart on that. So they're saying, we'll give you intelligent solutions, and if you identify with being smart, you're kind of aligned with it on that. Let's look at another one. This is a bit, I just took this in winter, obviously, and I don't not think this is actually supposed to be an S here. Well, that's ugly. That's supposed to be an S under sunbaked and whatnot. So what's the value proposition in this software company? Kind of hard to tell, because what we have here is we have an image of something being run over, a person being run over. I don't know what kind of software they write. I don't know, and frankly, I don't know much about software. I know coding and that kind of stuff, but I don't know a lot about it. So I don't know what their specialty is. So, and besides, they kind of like, they're using this and whatnot. So some people have said, well, are they going to run over me as a customer, or like, what's really, they don't get what this is about. And I can't refer to them. If I need software, I don't know what they do. And quite frankly, I don't know how I could refer to them on that. Let's look at another one. Premier built garages. So what is the value proposition with this? What are they saying that they do?
Build quality garages.
Through the word premier, absolutely. So they're, premiere is I feel like a premiere movie, a movie showing. Like it's new, it's undone, it's new, and it's sometimes it's considered to be cutting edge and whatnot. So they're saying you'll get the new stuff with that. Whether they do that, I don't know. Let's look at another one. Take roots. Communication is the root of all relationships. Does anyone want to take a guess as to what this company does?
Social media.
Social media, yeah, it could be that. It could be also relationship communicate counseling. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what it is, and what I don't know what they do. If it is, so they use the word communication here of all relationships. So I don't know if that is communication between relations counseling. I don't know if that's communication with employment. It leaves a lot less. It leaves me asking more questions, and again, I don't know what they specialize in, so I don't know if they'd be able to help me. Okay, DTMD. Does anyone want to weigh in as to how they've time-stamped their brand? What they've done to indicate that it's, time-stamped, that it's from another era.
Dial tone.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Now, I know, there's going to be a certain part of the population that doesn't know what a dial tone is, and 30 younger. And so this is the other thing you want to consider with your branding is, are you locking yourself into a time? When I was doing these webinars, I was calling them Capture 19, because when I started, we had just started social distancing. And I was it's a nod to a certain times, but I've gone past that because that's, it's like, we're no longer, we're still distancing, but we're in a different place on that. So their value proposition is they're playing on an MD, a doctor, and whatnot. But here, I don't know very much about networks, and I don't know if there's different type of networks. I don't know if they're all like, I don't know anything about networks. So again, I don't know if this is something I would ever need or how they could help me. And that's again what we're always looking at is, or how they could help other people. I can't refer to these people because I don't know what they do. Fluid. We speak home. I really want to hear people's opinion as to what you think this is. What do you guys think what do you think this is that what do they do?
Home improvement.
Home improvement. That we speak home. Anyone else want to weigh in as to what Fluent does? They are a home security system, and it's one of my first and biggest examples of a company being in love with themselves. Now, there are brands out there that are so well established that you know what they do because of the brand recognition. And I'm thinking the McDonald's, the Cokes, the Nike, the Michelin, that kind of stuff. They have that. But even a company like McDonald's has a mandate, or their intention is to have 8 impressions a day upon people. They to keep their market share, they've determined that they need to make 8 different impressions to basically have that brand recognition. So that's going to be their golden arches. That's going to be the flyers that come through to your mail. That's going to be the ads on the TV, the billboards, that kind of stuff, right? 8 impressions. So it took probably about, when this company showed up, it took probably about a year before I finally figured out what they were. And in that time, I did buy a home security system, but I didn't buy one from them because I had no idea what they did. So they lost out an opportunity to actually, for me to actually use them, because I didn't know what they did, and they're too in love with their services on that. Okay, moving on, let's look at another one. What do you think this company does?
Coffee shop.
What kind of coffee shop?
Organic coffee?
It's actually a vegan restaurant. And so, plant-based cafe. And, I have found when I present this to people, either people think it's really clever or it annoys them because they don't like moths or whatnot on that. So they're being kind of clever on that, and whether it works for their ideal client, I don't know. But I saw this, I kind of thought they might be vegan, and that actually leads. I don't know if, do we have any vegans on the call? because I'm gonna give my one vegan joke, and hopefully I won't insult. If there's 100 people in the room and one of them's vegan, how do you know which one it is? Don't worry, they'll tell you. So, you know, this is, yeah, I think it might work for their clients, but I don't know, but it kind of makes me wonder. Let's move on to the next one. So this is a flyer I got through my mail, and this is clearly from, you see the dentist up here. I think they were kind of skimpy on their brand. They had a lot of real estate they could have used and not get in the way of this image and whatnot. And what I want to talk about in this image is actually the concept of social proof. And social proof is, we see it all the time. We might not even be aware of it and whatnot. Social proof is basically what we see that substantiates that a product is good. So we hear one form of social proof is going to be testimonials. Google reviews is a form of social proof. When you have people that are like in this image, I'll just go back to it now. The social proof in this is the big smiles that people have. So everyone's got a big smile, everyone's got a big grin on their face. And this is often advertisement that you see with dentists. You see big toothy grins, and everyone's happy. So what this is saying is that if you use us, this dentist office, you'll have this outcome. That when we see when we see images of people on weight loss programs, they're not people that are big, they're people that are slim. When we see advertisements for people buying mountain bikes, basically they're kind of muscular. When we see people for, let's say, Harleys, well, that's a very different image that they're going to do. They're going to do more the kind of rebel, the biker on that. So the social proof is a way of really saying this is what you're going to have when you use us, and it's a way of pointing to basically the services. What is the value proposition on the side of this cube van? Anyone want to guess? This is another form of social proof. And what the business name is over here. There's a couple different social proofs, in demonstrations of social proof on the side of this. First of all, they've put Scotch print from 3M right here, so it's really big. So they're saying they're using a brand. They've aligned themselves with a brand. So they're saying, and it's a well-known brand, and they're saying, well, if we use this brand product, we use 3M Scotch print graphics on that. So that's one of the things that they're saying with, and they're aligning with on that. But also this image, as busy as it is, and as like there's a lot going on in this image, they're saying this is what we can do for you. If we can do this for ourselves, we can do this for you. So it's the vibrancy, it's the largest of it. It's on the side of a fairly probably 1-ton truck. I don't know how big it is, but it's there. And so if you desire, you need something for this for yourself, they're saying we can do it, and that's their value proposition. Okay. Clock, paper, scissors. Who would like to weigh in on the what the actual value proposition, or what do you guys think of this? What do you think they do?
Office supplies?
Yeah, you would think that. But so part of the thing that's a bit confusing on this is it's typical that whatever's in the largest font is actually, or the most distinctive font is the name of the company. And so I think it's Monk's Office. But when I looked at this, I didn't quite figure out what it was, and that's why I took a picture of it, because I kind of thought that they might be like a going after a Staples type of thing, but again, I'm not 100% certain on that. So this is also on Vancouver Island. I was there last summer with my kids. So it's also, it's not a brand that I have in my province. Okay. What is the value proposition with Sunterra?
Fresh.
Yep. Well, and also real farmers. They're saying that they use real farmers. It's a market type place where you go and they make you go. It's like you see it. They have like a deli and that kind of stuff in a couple different locations here in the city. So what they're saying is that basically they will give you fresh food from real farmers, and it's kind of like we're not using the huge corporations that are farming. These are real people. That's what it says to me. Okay, moving along. Cabela's. So, what's the value proposition? What are they saying in this image? What are they pointing to? They are pointing to this image, this part of the image. So you have dad, he's got a big grin on his face. He's teaching his child to shoot a bow and arrow, and clearly the child looks happy. I thought it was a boy initially, but then some pointed out it could be a girl, and yeah, it could be. So I think they've deliberately made it general neutral on that. But what we have here, it's in your initiation, it's in your nature. So in my estimation, this is an outstanding banner. This is really well done because there's nothing on here that's accidental. And as you go into Cabela's, this is what you're greeted with when I walked into there. Not that I go there very often, but what they're looking at is any father who thinks that it is his responsibility to teach his kids how to hunt or shoot a bow and arrow minimally on that is going to basically, it's playing on this. Now, what would resonate more with me is if it was how to change a tire or how to jumpstart a car or something like that. That is more of what resonates with me, but I'm not a hunter, and so it's not targeted at me and whatnot. So it is the relationship that they're playing on. And this is the value proposition, a happy father with his child bonding. Okay, now let's look at this image. For the meat eaters in the audience, what is the value proposition? The value proposition is, let's look at let's actually dig deep into this for a bit here. So it is age old that we break bread together. It is sharing meals together. Whenever there's events, generally there's always food around it. Weddings or gatherings of some parties, whatnot, there's always food. And what this sign is saying is that their ribs are so good, you're not going to even want to talk. The value proposition is how good the food is, that you won't have a conversation. And it's a well done picture, like it's shot professionally. Whoever shot it knew what they were doing. And so basically the conversation stopper is that you won't want to talk because you're going to be too much enjoying eating. Anyone want to guess what this company does? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm confused by the stylized print. Never stop. It's like it's clever, but I don't know what it means. And frankly, I move on to the next thing. Okay. The value proposition in this holdings company. What is it?
Rental properties, basically.
That's what they do, is rental properties. But what are they saying that sets them apart?
Low price.
Right. It is, their value proposition is the best deal in town. And the problem with having the best deal in town is that when you position yourself on price, somebody can always outprice you. Somebody can always bring in a lower price on that. So you're kind of stuck if this is what you're about. And then there's a whole concept or the idea about it is if people are only looking for deals, what type of clientele does that bring them? And it's if it makes you have to wonder about that, right? Is like, are they going to be dealing with people that can even afford it if they're so price conscious? So when you position yourself or your value is you're the lowest, it's a race to the bottom is the current term, or is one of the terms on that. Okay, Pizza Hut. What is their value proposition? A lot of gluten for $34. Well, and some meat over here. It's a treat. So their value proposition is you get 2 pizzas, you get a cookie, some pizza dough type of thing, or get crust stuff here, a few chicken wings and some sauce. So what they're saying is that you get all this food for this price, and everyone's going to be happy. Okay, this is the second last image of the billboards and whatnot, and Clearwater is the company, and clearly they do welding, fabrication, assembly, structural welding, whatnot. And what they're saying is they doing it right the first time. So my question is, who claims they get it right the third time? Who claims they never get it right at all? When you use terms like getting it right the first time, quality, and peace of mind, those are throwaway terms, because I can guarantee you your competition is going to be saying that. They're not going to be saying, oh, we make your life miserable. No, we do crap. And and I'm not saying you can't use quality, peace of mind, and getting it right the first time, but what I don't understand is, why is it important to Clearwater that they get it right the first time? I don't know what's in it for me on that. And they may get it right, and it may be done right the first time until you take whatever it is and then you try and put it to wherever it needs to go. So you take, what they've welded and they put it in and it doesn't fit. Well, it was done right until it was in there. So I don't know why they care about getting it right the first time. And maybe getting it right the first time makes it a 30% surcharge. Maybe there's 30% more to get it right the first time. Or maybe getting it right the first time takes three weeks longer to produce it, and I have a short turnaround time. Getting it right the first time might not be important to me if I can delay paying my bill for 6 months because I'm waiting for my money to come from my customers. So this doesn't tell me why it's important to them. And it doesn't really tell me why they think it's important to me. And they've made a declaration, they get it right the first time, but I'm going, yeah, so what? And who's not going to say that? So we have to be kind of mindful. And if you're going to use words like quality and peace of mind, you have to root them in why that's important to you, because people are just gonna, it's not gonna have an impact on them. It's not gonna land on them because they kind of expect that you're going to say that. Now, this is the second last slide, or the next one's going to be the last slide. And and this is, you should probably, every city you live in, you probably see one of these. Edmonton Police Service. So what's the value proposition with the Edmonton Police Service?
Protection.
Dedicated to protect, proud to serve. This is a statement here. This is a pretty typical tagline for pretty much all police services. But my point in why I show this is that if the Edmonton Police Services can have a value proposition, you guys can too. They've worked on that. Okay. Now let's take a look at some business cards. We're about halfway through the presentation, and I'm going to be really working on making sure that you guys have can answer some questions at the very end. So and this will be more applicable to you because most of you will either have your own business cards or have ones that have been given to you on this. So let's look at this. So Able IT Inc. What's the value proposition?
Technology.
Well, technology is kind of there, but what about technology? made easy. What they're saying is that if you use us, we're gonna, we're gonna make your life easy and whatnot. That is the brand promise. Technology made easy. Okay, next one. Who here on the call knows what mudjacking is? Does anyone? Okay, I see. Okay, Jerry knows what mudjacking is. Do other people know what mudjacking is?
No.
No. Okay. How about now? Now, do you know what mudjacking is? Provincial mudjacking. We core holes in concrete up to 12 inches in diameter. We raise and level concrete. These are the cities. These are the cities in the province I live in. Provincial mudjacking systems. So and yes, this is a business card, so it's not the same, but there could be some pointing out what they do. And I found out about mudjacking when I needed to raise some cement on my house on that. I didn't know what it was before. So can anyone else look at how else this owner is not helping themselves with this business card?
Makes it sound like a golf course service.
Exactly. Thank you. That's one of the things. Fairway on that. So this could be the person's last name for all I know, but I don't know that. So I'm thinking it's spelled wrong if I don't know that. But what else is missing from this business card?
What you just said, their name.
Their full name. That's right, on that. And also there's no email address and there's no website. So it looks pretty one-offish and whatnot, like it's the sole proprietor. Okay. Platypi Design Inc. What's their brand promise? What are they saying that they're going to do for you?
Make your website great.
Right. Well, the main purpose of a website is to engender trust, is to give you credibility and for people to know that you're legitimate. And Tanya I met her, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. And what she specializes in is websites for lawyers. So, lawyers don't have a lot of trust, right? There's some issues with people trusting lawyers and whatnot. So this is specifically important because that is the purpose of a website, is to build trust and credibility and other stuff and services, all this kind of stuff. But primarily, you want trust on that. So what she's saying is she will help you have trust of your clients. Okay. This is the back of a business card. And so 50freecalls.com. And this is the front of it. Anyone want to take a guess as to what this guy does? Oh, and this green part is that's his image and his name, and I've, his last name on that. So what exactly does he do? Kind of hard to tell, isn't it? So I met the guy that does this, Tim, as we can see here, at a networking event. He showed me his card, and I said to him, I don't understand what you do. And this was the thing that was interesting. He looked at me like I had two heads, and he goes, well, first 50 calls. Going, what? I still don't know what that was. And he was a bit not annoyed, but it's like he couldn't get why I didn't get it and whatnot. And I found that curious, that he wasn't seeing that his branding wasn't very good. He was seeing that there's something wrong with me. So that was the first, not good sign. So we had a conversation, and where I talked to him about it, and it's some sort of you get you don't get charged for the first 50 free calls, but and I'm not trying to be ignorant here. After that conversation, I still don't know what he does. And I can refer to him. I wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't true. I have no desire to cut anyone up or to make anyone look bad and whatnot. But I could not tell anyone what he does or network to or on his behalf, saying, "Oh, I know somebody that could use your services on that." And that's after I had like a 10-minute conversation with him. I walked away not knowing how that would solve my problem or someone else's problem. So you want to consider that. Here's another one that let's look at. Marketing RX, fool your profits with social media marketing. So what's the value proposition?
Monetize your social media.
That's right. So they're going to make you money. That's what they're saying, is they're going to help you make money. Now, this picture's a bit pixelated on that. They're also going under RX, which is kind of like pharmacy and that kind of stuff. But they have an image here of mostly white people with one person of color over here. And everyone is kind of the same age except for this guy over here who looks like an old fart like me. And so when you use images of people on your branding and whatnot, that's who you're saying who you serve. And if I put on this image, let's say people from the Philippines, well, they would look very different. And this resonates with me because I'm pretty white. If it was people from the Philippines, well, that wouldn't resonate the same with me. So if we think of, if you think of advertisement for pickup trucks, generally they are men in their 30s who are kind of rough, and they're doing the job, they're on the job site, they're taking care of what they need to do. They're not marketing, they're not showing women in those, by and large, they're not showing women in those truck ads, they're not showing geriatrics, people that are retired, they're not showing children. They're showing men who are in their 25 to 40, whatever the demographic is, and that's who they say they're selling to. And that's the point with this, is that whoever you represent as an image on that is who you're actually saying you're selling to. And where I live, we're pretty homogenous. We have a pretty white community. We have, it's not as if we, it's mostly white people here. And this would probably work here, but if this was advertisement used in some place like, I don't know, where there's a high spent, like, in Southern California, where there's a lot of, people that are not white, or in many parts of the United States, well, then they'd be ostracizing a lot of people on this. So you have to be aware of who you're doing. And the other thing is, they also use a stock image. So, it's kind of like, it's not really that unique in some ways. Okay. Smudge Marks Press. Are you ready to make your mark? I think it's a printing press, but I'm not 100% certain. And I find that when I present this to people, they kind of get annoyed by it. They like, why would I use a printing press that makes smudge and makes marks? So, this is, I don't know if this company is helping themselves by having this kind of branding on that. Henderson Plumbing. What is the value proposition that they have? I would suggest the value proposition, besides being a plumber, is they have a pipe wrench, because that's what they show that they have. And I don't even know what kind of plumbing they do, so I can't refer to them, and I don't know if I'd want to use them. Okay, so I'm going to go through these a bit quicker here now, so we get to some questions, because we're coming along. Wake Creative. This guy marks himself as a visual problem solver, and it's like, I don't know what that means. What exactly, create your wave, Wake Creative. People have suggested, does he stage houses? Is he an interior designer? So again, I don't know. This doesn't have any impact on me. I don't know whether or not this guy could solve my problems. This card, there's nothing on the back of this card. She just had this. It's kind of pretty, but doesn't tell me anything. And that's part of the problem is that if you go to networking events and you walk away with a mitt full of business cards, pretty soon they all look the same and you have no idea who they are. Okay, skip that one. So, Klaatu Design Inc. I kid you not, when I first saw this, I thought this was Klingon. I didn't Klaatu. Like, what does that mean, right? And so, no idea what this person does. So, okay. Now this wanker, let's look at this guy. This is the back of his business card, and this is the front. Sovereignty actualized. Well, this is me. This is a business card. 7 years ago when I put it out there, I was doing coaching, and I had all these different services. And this is exactly what I mean about being in love with your product. I love the title so much, and I had my graphic designer saying, "Are you sure you want to use that title?" Sovereignty actually goes, "Yes, because that's exactly what I do." Well, it was what I do. It is what I do. Sovereignty is freedom from external control. Actualized is coming into being. And that's what I do, because I did help people get past whatever their demons were and gets in their way from succeeding. But I spent more time describing what my title meant than my services on that. So after about 4 months, I had to rebrand, and I came up with SolveAct, Life Coaching Services. That was so I could keep this. And I eventually moved to this. This is my current business card. And so we have brevity specialists. Somebody recently pointed out that I should have logos here, and I don't know why my graphic artist missed that as opposed to these things. And so that's one of the things I'm going to change. And since I've been an entrepreneur, which is 7 years now, I have pivoted so much and I've changed. And we don't want to be afraid of actually making mistakes. We don't want to be afraid of, sometimes we get embedded in branding and then realize that maybe not that good, and we move on. So, part of what it is that you will need to look at pivoting if you are on your own and whatnot. And this is my course on the back that I already talked about. So a good positioning statement starts with knowing what you bring to the table, and that's your value proposition. And my question for all of you is, what's your value proposition? And this is a good time when we're social distancing to actually talk about, to look at your value proposition. Okay, so just a brief recap before I take questions. What we covered today. What we talked about is definition of value proposition and make examples of how they're demonstrated in signage and business cards. And I also want to talk about the other webinars I do and whatnot. And we'll just cover those really quickly. And then I'll take some, actually, I'll talk about that in a second. So let me stop sharing. And I would like to actually take questions if you have any now about your branding or anything on this presentation. No questions?
How do you tie everything together, that once you have your business card, your elevator speech, the resume, et cetera?
Well, part of what that is, and tomorrow in tomorrow's presentation, I talk about the mechanics of the elevator pitch, and then I bring in a model that is really quite simple and quite elegant that I've adopted, and I learned this model many years ago, and I've kind of made it my own and whatnot. But it really comes down to having the clarity on a few things. So the questions I will ask my clients that we need to have actually before I do a video with them, or even when I'm helping position people, and I cover this tomorrow, Brandon, since you asked, Jerry, I'm going to tell you now, and that is, there's 3 questions you need to, that it's really important that we be able to answer. And the first one is, what do you sell? Apple doesn't sell computers, it sells ease of use. Nike doesn't sell shoes, it sells a lifestyle. Michelin doesn't sell tires, it sells safety. So what do you sell? And when you know what you sell, then it's actually easier to be able to position yourself, because you're getting to the true value of what you bring to the table. What I sell is clarity and relevancy. I help people be clear, and I help them be relevant to their target audience. So what do you do for work, Jerry?
I'm a consultant or a government contractor for the Navy.
Okay, and that's, so you deal specifically with the Navy only?
Yes.
Okay. So under that thing, under those realms of, Apple doesn't sell computers, it sells ease of use, blah, blah, blah. So what do you sell, do you think?
IT solutions for the sailor on the deck plate.
Okay. Well, I would suggest that's what you do. That's not what you sell. That's the end, right? That's the end result. And it's this, this old adage, or this old adage saying, you don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle.
Okay.
Right. So what's your sizzle? What's the end result of they get out of that? Because the stuff for the sailor is what they do, but that's not what you sell.
Probably ease and accuracy then.
Ease and accuracy to what end?
of data entry.
Okay, but to what end?
For better resolution of maintenance issues.
Okay, so basically so it's going to be so it's and I'm just guessing, I'm pulling this out of the air here. So accuracy, I think, would be one of the things that, so easy, so the data is accurate. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. And also it's not going to be very accurate if it's hard. So you said ease of use for people to be able to do that. So you make it so that there's no barriers on that. So in some ways, just on its face, I would think what you sell is accuracy. Like that idea of the fact that they're able to implement that information, and whoever interprets that information knows it's accurate. So who is your customer? I know it's the military, I know it's the Navy, but who within that is really buying your service?
The ultimate customer is the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Joint Chiefs of Staff, but they're going to want to know that basically what services that you're doing is going to be accurate and is going to be good representation of what it is, because that old adage, garbage in, garbage out, right? So in a lot of ways, what you do is you provide this framework, this platform for them to do that, but basically it's really about they're paying you. The government is paying you to ensure that is actually going to have a product that they want, that's going to be worth, like the end result is going to be usable on their part, right? Okay.
Right.
So the first question I ask my clients is, what do you sell? And now the questions get harder because I have two more. Second one is, how do you know you're relevant to your ideal client? Not how do you think you're relevant, but how do you know you're relevant? Well, the way I know I'm relevant with my clients is basically I have a couple things. I get a lot of referrals, so people would not be referring to me if they didn't know that I was, if they didn't think I was, I offered a good service. And also my customer satisfaction ratings are really very high. I use a rating scale out of 10 when I do my services, and people generally will give me like 9 and higher. So that's how I know I'm relevant to that. And furthermore, I've never had anyone say when I work with them that they didn't learn something about themselves that is pertinent to their job or not. So how are you relevant to the Navy?
Unfortunately, I think it's measured in lack of complaints.
Well, yeah. Like, so you're not the one that's pissing them off. You're not the one that's making their life. So it said differently is that, you're providing a service that actually people find useful, and that they you're not having to, I guess there wouldn't be returns on your product or whatnot, but they're not coming to you saying, WTF, what the hell, right? So that's a good indication. And the last question I ask, and this is actually probably the hardest for people to answer, and that is, why should I believe you're doing it for anything other than money? If I don't know your motivation to do what you do, and money's fine, there's nothing wrong with earning good money, like absolutely that's fine. But if I don't know your motivation, I'm going to presume your only interest is to make money from me. And I think that, do you think that would be a perception that what's the name of the decision makers, Jerry, that like they're the people that decide, they're just, can we call them decision makers? Okay. So I would think, and I know nothing of your industry because, I don't, but I would think that the people that sign off on the contracts, who ultimately make that decision, are often wondering about how much they're being hosed, how much, is it a fair and equitable price or whatnot, or on that, is that even a concern on theirs? That's yes. You have your microphone on, so off.
Sorry about that. That is a fair statement.
Yeah. So you're fighting against, so every industry not every industry, most 99.9% industries have a headwind against them. There are beliefs about that particular industry that people have on that. So if I would say to you, what do people think about realtors? What's the common perception of realtors? Well, that they don't work, they drive BMWs and they don't work for their money. They're just kind of doing, they make a lot of money, they don't work for it. The headwind with accountants is that they are, they're boring and they have no personality. Lawyers, there's ethical concerns on that. So what are the headwinds that you have as a consultant, besides the fact that you just want to make money from the government?
Being able to deliver it fast and technologically state of the art. Sorry.
9, 8, 7, 7.
So you're saying some concerns about it being done on time, delivered on time?
Delivered on time, state of the art, and like I said, easy and efficient.
So tell me what state of the art means. That's cutting edge, that's leading edge?
Right.
Okay. And I'm assuming there also must be some stuff in there about security and making sure that, it's secure information and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, on that. Okay. So part of your value proposition then is, so are you the most expensive game in town? Are you average? Are you still muted?
Wow. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We are typically not the cheapest, but by the same token, the government tends to go to the cheapest bidder.
Right on that. So then your value really has to, if you're not competing for price on that, then what's necessary is to demonstrate all the other value that they bring, so that, and quite frankly, how you're going to save them money, how you may be them using you, even though they're paying, let's not say a premium price, but if they're paying you good coin for what you do, then the offset to that is, yeah, you're paying this, but this is how you're going to save money with our services, or this is what this is, the accuracy rate in reporting is going to be really quite high. There's going to be less wastage in other areas on that. And if your client, being the government, thinks that you're just going to put 50% on top of everything else on that, because that's what, I don't know if that's their perception, but if that's what their perception is on that, then I would think that you have to really demonstrate the value that you're bringing to the table and how that's actually going to save them money, or if not money, time or heartaches on that. So, and feel free to not answer this question, but why do you care about your service and your products, and why do you care about serving the government?
We tend to use the term warfighter, but having been a warfighter, it's nice to be able to make it as easy as possible for them to do their job properly and get back with the main job.
So you recognize and you understand how important that stuff is because you've been there, right? So that would be part of when you're having those conversations with the decision makers. It could be something as simple as, and I don't know what those conversations look like. I wouldn't even presume to guess how those negotiation works, but it's going to be, saying along the lines of, I get the importance of technology. We understand, you use your company's name, we understand that this is something that, is life or death. This could make the difference between having active service or not. And so, so that would be part of what you bring, so they understand that why you care about it. And it's not just money on that. So the, what else sets your company apart as do you consider yourself a software company or just a,
We're a whole solutions company, so software, hardware, infrastructure.
soup to nuts?
Right.
Okay, on that. So that's part of your value proposition also, is the fact that it's a one-stop shop on that. So I think that would be also something that you could position yourself as on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So your question was, how do you tie them all together? Your business card and your elevator pitch and your marketing. There has to be in my opinion, there has to be that consistent theme that has that consistent brand recognition, where you are across the board being able to demonstrate the same message on that. And brand confusion comes down when you see mixed messages and people don't quite understand what you're doing. So in my business card that I showed, the first one where I was, the sovereignty actualized, I actually had some brand confusion on that because I was talking about process management, group facilitation, and coaching men and whatnot. And so it's like, what do you do? Do one thing or the other. And so being able to identify what that overarching value is and consistency to that is how you basically tie them all together, because there needs to be that very consistent message. Okay, was that helpful, Jerry?
Certainly was for me.
Okay, excellent. Well, when you show up and ask the questions, you get the service, right? So, and I do appreciate you having your camera on, because it really makes it a lot easier looking at a person on that. So, okay, so I'm going to just talk about some other services, and then I'll ask more, and then we'll take some more questions on that. So, I just want to point to the other webinars I run. I am doing them 5 days a week, and Mondays is going to be defining your ideal client, your avatar, and it's really about what do you need to look at to really get a good understanding of what your ideal client is. And those are on Mondays. Today is how to have the kick. That's tomorrow is going to be part 2 of this webinar, and it's navigating the elevator pitch. So I talk about the mechanics of it, and then a model to really use that is actually quite simple and elegant. So I really encourage that you come and check that out if you can. And that's the model I talked about. So, and please invite your friends to the presentation. On Thursday, I have how to hack the glass ceiling, and that's actually for women. I designed it for women, and it's to help women understand how to actually get past the belief that they can't rise to the highest levels of industry. And then on Fridays is a new segment I'm doing. It's called Widen Your Gaze Fridays, and it's where I bring industry leaders and experts to talk about their subject matter and basically have the bigger picture. It's Widen Your Gaze is kind of look at the bigger picture on that. And it is a presentation on the 7 proven steps to stopping imposter syndrome. And it is tailored towards women, but men can attend and show up on that. So the last thing I want to tell you about is actually I have a service that's called a Diagnostic elevator pitch, and I offer that. You get 90 minutes of my time, and because 60 minutes doesn't seem quite a bit, and my regular price on that is $197, but I actually am offering a COVID-19 special price, and I'm selling it now for $49. If you're interested in this, I would ask that you email me on this. This is a deal that's only for today. And if you go to my website and you look at all my services, you'll see that actually I'm charging $197 for this. So to stop you from having to pay that, you send me an email, or you can send me a PayPal transfer for $49, and we'll set up a time. And you would do it at my luke@barebones.com. It is outstanding value. When I'm working with companies, I actually charge $350 an hour. So to get me for $49 is a hell of a deal. But I understand that we're in a time right now that's not everyone can afford that. So that's why I'm offering it reduced, because I also need to find a way to generate income like so many people here. So my final thought is, don't try and fit in when you're born to stand out, because we're all meant to stand out. So thank you very much. And we have about 15 more minutes to take some final questions. So I see we have, 4 other people on the call besides Jerry. Well, and my iPad is one of them, so that doesn't count, because that's just so I can see what's happening in real time. So what other questions do you have about this presentation, or how I might be able to help you out? I guess if there's no questions,
I didn't want to dominate, but
please do.
I'm
It makes
a little confused on your courses. That today is Tuesday, but we're doing the how to do the kick-ass elevator speech and value proposition both, it seems.
Did I get those wrong? I just moved with the slide deck. So
Well, I registered for the kick-ass.
yeah, that was today. Yeah, part 1 was today, and part 2 is tomorrow.
Okay. I missed that part 2 part. Okay, thank you.
I apologize for that. Okay. Jerry, use me. Ask me questions. Do you want to run your elevator pitch by me, and I can, you may not want to do that in front of everyone, but if you want to, if no one else is going to ask any questions.
I'm just trying to get around to it right now. So
Okay.
I'll attend tomorrow and then
Okay.
probably sign up for your course or your one-on-one.
So Brian is in the chat box. I think Brian may have gone away. He was saying he spent the inordinate of time showing so many marketing ads to make the point about the value proposition. So Brian, this wasn't a good use of Brian's time. Okay.
Look.
Well, yes.
Look, may I have a question? My name is also Jerry, and I also do software, but I am software developer. So I create software for e-commerce,
Okay.
and I maintain this. So what suggestions would you have for me?
Software for commerce?
E-commerce, like selling online.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is that what makes your software different from anyone else? Why would I use you over PayPal?
I can customize every software to your specific needs. I
Okay.
did it for many companies, for many top retailers. So I can do front end, so I can make your e-commerce site good looking and easy to operate, easy to be used by your customers. But I can also work on your software behind the scenes, which will actually make your goods to be properly picked in a warehouse, assuming that you will be using some warehouse, and then shipped to customers. And then I can collect, basically my software will collect payments and take care about any returns, and also help with customer service. So if somebody has any questions regarding your products, I can basically, my software will, in an easy way, will take care about this customers' requests.
Well, I'm still not hearing like I for everything you talk about, it's not really giving me an idea of why I can't get that with PayPal. And part of what so I understand the customization, I understand that whatnot, but what do businesses care about? Ultimately, businesses care about two things, and the first thing is saving time and saving money, which is really about saving money. Saving time is really about saving money. So how are you saving businesses with your e-com? And also, the other thing that would come in your space is going to be about confidence in your product, that basically people are, that you're not charging your that the information is secure, the credit card's not going to be, information is not going to be stolen, that kind of stuff, right? Because the last thing you would want is your customers' clients to be suspect of their position. You know what I mean? So it's like you have a customer you're doing software for, e-commerce for. If their customers don't have confidence in what you do in that software, then that's going to be a problem. Did that make sense?
Yes, or maybe let me rephrase. Look, I am not really providing my own brand software. I am just working for companies who are doing e-commerce. So I am helping them to customize and to maintain their products.
Oh,
so let's say
okay.
you have a store. You have, let's say, you want to sell something online, like you right now you are using Udemy, but you want to go even further. You will create your own platform to sell your products. Then I can help you to sell some subscriptions, to sell some gift cards, sell some books, for example, like Amazon. I can help you with this.
Okay. So in a lot of ways, what you're talking about is customization.
Yes.
Okay. And the bulk of the people you work with, do you do a lot of customization for them?
Yes.
Okay. So on its face, what it would seem like is what you offer is to be able to take. I could see you using a statement like this. You know, not all businesses are created equally. Not all businesses are. All businesses are unique, and like your clients and whatnot. Well, you need unique systems to help pay them. You need unique solutions for that. So if you're hanging your hat on the fact that you're able to customize the software on that so that it's meeting their needs, because let's say you have a customer that sells, I don't know, bicycles, and they do trade-ins and whatnot. So they'll take used bicycles and sell new bicycles on that. Well, what I could see you could possibly do is basically help them customize that so they get a credit for the new one and whatnot, because how do you take used products from someone and give them a credit for it that reflects on their bill, so that basically it's all kept straight in the accounting? Is that just, was I way off the mark with that, or does that kind of make sense?
That's pretty good. That's more
Okay.
important what you can understand based on what I said, because you are a potential customer. In this, basically, not the real customer, but we are playing here some game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell.
Yeah.
I am. You are playing role of a potential client, customer. I am trying to sell
Right.
my services. So
right. Well, and so basically, what I see your value proposition is that in some ways you are it's your customizable services. You're able to customize their needs. So this is good. This might be the thing on that. So, and I have nothing wrong. I use PayPal. I have no problem with PayPal on that. But so this might be actually part of what you're saying is that, when you go to use when you go to use a services on that, you have to go to them and fit your product around your services around how they want to bill for that. We do the exact opposite. We will actually be able to make their software work for you. Did that make sense?
Basically, that's a great message. I can play with this, and I can try to massage and apply this to my strategy of selling my services. But
yeah, because what in one ways you have to work around their system. But what you're saying, so here's actually a and I had no plan on talking about this, but I'll bring it to the table now, is that when we can demonstrate when we can bust a myth in the way the world works, and you can show the new world order, that's very powerful. So Uber basically busted a myth that you have to use a taxi company. They're a big disruptor on that. So was Skip the Dishes, and so was. Do you guys have Skip the Dishes in the United States? Do you guys know Skip the Dishes?
Not sure.
Okay, if you say no, then not. Then it's a Canadian company on that. They deliver food on that. Anyway, there's Uber Eats is I think another one on that. So when you bust a myth, you're saying, look, the world used to work this way, but it works this way now. We're in this massive disrupting period with COVID-19, where basically we are not, pardon me, 1 second. Everything looks very different. We live in a different kind of world. So if you can say, there was a point in time when you had to, and I'm just going to use PayPal because that's a brand we all know on this. There was a point in time when you had to basically play by PayPal's terms. You had to play by their rules. You had to actually fit your sales around their platform. But you know what? That doesn't have to happen anymore. That's not the world we live in anymore. There's actually options where you don't have to do that. And I can help you basically make PayPal fit around your services.
Generally makes sense. I can still work on this, but this more on a top level, this message, I like it. I will be definitely in contact with you. Look, I don't want to monopolize this discussion, RANA. I think we should talk to you.
Please do, and yeah, it's a hell of a deal actually. And what I'll do is, the best definition of a consultant that I've ever heard, the funniest definition of consultant is someone with a briefcase from 50 miles away. Jerry, do you know that one? I heard that. Oh, okay, yeah. So if you have a briefcase and you're from a distance, you must be a consultant, right? And but a more, I think, relevant definition of a consultant is someone who shortens your learning curve. Someone who'll be able to say, you can do that, but if you do that, you're going to have this outcome or this outcome, right? So what you'll get with me in this is I will definitely shorten your learning curve on that. And just being able to think about how you solve that problem and how you're able to position yourself that your competition isn't doing is where the gold lies in.
I'm sorry, can you repeat this, Luke?
I'll try. When you're able to clearly illustrate how you make someone's life easier by knowing where their life is difficult. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so in your example, I can only have one way that money comes in through PayPal. They don't allow me to do these different things. Mm-hmm. That's a pain point. That's a problem because that causes me issues with accounting. That's caused me issues with bookkeeping. That causes me issues with all these other issues. And so what I'm suggesting is that if you can show how you make their lives easier because the current system is a pain in the ass, mm-hmm. That's why because the perception is in the value. Mm-hmm. The value is in how the people perceive what you do. When they perceive you bring value, that's why they'll pay for it. It's all in perception. Mm-hmm. It's pure and simple as that. So you show them how you make their life easier and how the systems that they're forced to stay with makes their lives, gives them more grief, then they're more willing to have that conversation with you. What about Paula or Bobby? Do you guys want to ask a question? Because
Paula, I don't really know that I have a question. I'm just building my brand and wanted to get the information so that I can build it properly and pitch it properly. Okay.
Do you mind telling me what you do?
I am a health and vitality coach, and the company name is Live Life Energized, and it's through a transformation process to become your own best friend.
And is that your own?
I'm developing it, yes.
Okay, so it's not an MLM?
No.
Okay, on that. And how far are you in your process of identifying your brand?
That's why I'm working on it and doing this. So I have a lot of questions to answer, and it's the limiting beliefs that are coming up for me that kind of have me going like, and I want to do the imposter syndrome because I do a lot of the comparison stuff. Right.
Yeah, Virio Carvino, she's really good. She's a belief repatterning. She's certified in belief repatterning, and I've used her, and that's why I have her. That's why I'll have her speak because I know how good she is on that. So good for you, and I really appreciate your honesty about being able to say that you have some noise in your head and whatnot, and it is this is what I liken it to. If you're a stand-up comedian, you can't be surprised that people are going to heckle you. Like, it kind of comes with the territory. If you're not prepared to be heckled, you shouldn't be a stand-up comedian. And likewise, if you're not prepared to deal with your demons, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, because they smack you around left, right, and center, about all the beliefs and especially who am I to do that and how that kind of stuff. So recognizing that's really important. And thank you for sharing.
It's the question of what sets me apart, because just about everything that everybody shares is not new. It's just in the way that they present it that makes it unique and memorable for people to get the knowledge that they need to get over that pain point. So the tagline is drop diet drama, optimize your health, and live life energized.
Okay. So if I could just challenge that thought that you said about everyone says that, and I'd actually like to augment that and say something a bit different with that.
Okay.
It's when you've identified what your ideal client, your avatar, is, what their pain points are, that's why they're going to buy from you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really knowing your ideal client, thick and thin. And on Mondays when I do defining your
already signed up for it.
Yeah, and my specialty is actually in your space, in the business to consumer. That's where I have more knowledge on that. And and what I'm going to do is I've tried different ways of teaching this. I'm actually going to give case studies, because that will resonate the most with people, and that stimulates people to ask questions. So I have 3 or 4 case studies, and 1 are business to business, and 2 are business to consumer and whatnot. But it's that really generates and whatnot. And so my question for ultimately for you is, why do you care about me as your customer, as your client?
I don't, because I work with women.
Okay, if my name was Lucille, and good for you for owning that.
So
good for
say
you
that again, because
Yeah.
no, I do know that I want to work with women.
Yep.
Men may come to it, but that's not my passion. Could say that again, Lucille.
Well, I just want to say to begin with, good for you for owning the gender you're working with. That's very important, where you know that. So, and not apologizing for that. And I liked how you say, well, it's not going to work because But what if my name was Lucille or Lucy or whatever, and I really was a woman? Why do you care about me? Why do you give a rat's ass about my happiness?
Because I've been on a diet roller coaster my whole life, and it's taken me 30 years to step off of it. And I don't want to see women do and go through the numerous commercial diets I've done only to have them not be the truth. You need to come within inside yourself and find the answers.
So that is a compelling message to say, hey, I get it, I've been there, and these are the pitfalls. And so that whole idea of shortening somebody's learning curve that's another way of saying what we've just said. So I've been 30 years trying to figure this out, and I've discovered it doesn't work. They tell you it does, so that's what you're kind of busting a myth, saying they'll tell you it works, but it really doesn't for these reasons. And you don't need to spend 30 years. Work with me, and you'll move that distance in a fraction of the time. There's the value proposition about basically how you're able to move people from point A to point B much quicker, because you also, and I'm assuming this, you also recognize that, sometimes doing it on your own is really self-defeating.
Yes.
Right? So it's all those,
yes.
Yeah. So if you want help with that, I definitely think I know I could help you with that. So, and coming to the other webinars will be also beneficial too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm signed up for tomorrow, Friday, and Monday.
Okay. Fantastic. Bobby, do you want to, before we shut down, I know we're at 90 minutes in, Bobby, do you want to ask a question? Maybe Bobby left the, Bob may not be here. Well, since we are an hour and a half in, and with a couple minutes change, I'm going to shut it down and basically say thank you all for your time. I really appreciate the contribution and people, helping it out. So thanks a lot, Jerry, for staying with your screen on. Really made it a lot easier. And I look forward to seeing you guys for some other presentations if you find value in it.
Good
Okay,
job.
now.
We will
Thank
see
you,
you
Luke.
soon.
You're very welcome. Bye now.
Thank you, Luke.